It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Sunday morning, time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes of your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles. You're listening to America's Automotive Radio Show. This is Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. This morning's team of misfits, rapscallions, and ne'er-do-wells includes Zhenya, the intern, Sean Walker, our producer, Old Man Brad, and Oli, the Viking Volvo seller. This is the part of the show when we talk about what cars we have been driving this week to review for you. And we'll start off, I've been driving the Toyota Camry, the best-selling car in America. The first best-selling vehicle is the Ford F-150, followed by the Chevy Silverado, then the Ram 1500, and the first car in that list is the Toyota Camry, which is actually the fourth best-selling vehicle. So four-door family sedan, comfortable, spacious, with a nice interior, above-average seats and a good space, fairly good visibility throughout the vehicle, a distinctive luxury, and it also comes in a sports trim, a very friendly interior. They actually have suede in the middle of the seats now in the trim level that I'm driving, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. Not seen that before in a non-luxury vehicle. Its competitors are a little bit more engaging to drive, but the one thing about Camry that makes it probably the best seller is the build quality and reliability. A couple of different engine choices, a 2.5 litre four-cylinder and a 3.5 litre V6. Now, the horsepower is 178 of that four-cylinder, and the V6 gets 268. I actually think the four-cylinder is enough in this vehicle. They've made it light enough to be handling well. It does have that six-speed auto that can be manually shifted. Front-wheel drive doesn't come in an all-wheel drive. I think that's a lose for Camry. One of the things I think a lot of the mid-size sedan companies are doing is including four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive in their vehicles, which means anybody that lives above the Mason-Dixon line gets a better opportunity to drive it in the snow. But it does handle well. It handles better than a rear-wheel drive in the snow. But still, I'd like to see an all-wheel drive.
Is this the one that's out front?
The red one, yeah.
Yeah, really good looking.
A lot better.
Yeah, much better.
I think they lost their way with the last generation. It was a little small. It was a little narrow. They kind of downsized it a little bit, but they learned their lesson and came back. One of my news directors from Fox, I took him to lunch in the last generation, and he kept banging his head in and out of the car and decided that was a no-no for him. Its competition is the Ford Fusion, the Honda Accord, the Nissan Altima, the Chevrolet Malibu, the Subaru Legacy, and the VW Passat. And then its trim levels come in 5 different trim levels: the LE, the SE, the XSE, the XLE, and the hybrid version. Starts at just under $23,000, but still don't get too much passion out of this vehicle. One vehicle that does have a lot of passion, though, is the brand new Kia Sedona Minivan. It is probably one of the best minivans that I have driven. I am not opposed to minivans as a vehicle, but I will tell you that I think they've become overly opulent. The Honda Odyssey is become a traveling nightclub. I don't know how else to put it. It's just become so expensive and so opulent.
It's really difficult when you consider that the people with 2 or 3 children are the ones who are having to buy these vehicles, and if they're at $45,000, $50,000, it's a lot of money.
The interesting thing about minivans, of course, sales has plummeted over the last 5 or 6 years or so. A lot of companies stopped making the minivan. The Rutan from VW has been canceled. Several others, the Nissan supposedly canceling their minivan. But Chrysler now saying they will invest billions of dollars in building a brand new minivan. So
well, I mean,
there must be some life left in it.
Brad brings up a point. The price being $45,000, that's maybe why they're plummeting.
Right, and that's where this Kia Sedona steps in. Distinctive dashboard and cockpit, a value-priced, unique forward collision system, nice, interesting collapsible seats in the second row, extended equipment throughout the cabin. It's very quiet. It's lots of cargo room. They work very hard on making the space available. It does have lounge seats that collapse forward in the SX model, and it comes in a V6, a 3.3 litre, 276 horsepower, 6-speed automatic front-wheel drive, a good 24 miles a gallon on the highway, which isn't bad. Now, it competes, of course, against the big boys in this segment: Honda Odyssey, Toyota Sienna, the Nissan Quest, which is being cancelled, and the Chrysler Town & Country. It comes in 5 trim levels. The best part, Starting price, just over $26,000, which makes it all applicable for those people who are trying to save money and still haul around up to 7 people. Sean?
I've been driving the 2015 Kia Soul EV, and I will say that I'm not an electric fan, but this car actually sold me on maybe buying an electric car, which it's a 5-passenger. It drives exactly like the Soul, has the same interior, same look, doesn't look ridiculous like half the other EV cars out there, and it charges fast. Like you actually get 100 miles per charge, and on a 220 volt, it takes 5 hours to recharge your battery. And I had no problems with this car. The only thing I don't like about it is on the normal Kia Souls, there's a subwoofer in the middle of the center console. They replaced that with this little battery light system to show you when your car's charging and if it's fully charged. I just would like the speaker other than the little light system. That's just me personally. I mean, I give this car a 10. I mean, I actually used it for my daily life, and I usually worried about electric cars, but this one I had no problems with. I drove it all week and loved the car. It handles exactly like the Kia Soul's, great for in town. So
Price?
Did you get some nice upfront parking?
I did, and that's the good thing is you get parked right up at the doors because of the charging stations. It's really nice.
So how much is it?
Oh, starting price is $33,000, but you also get a $7,500 tax rebate from buying it, so it comes around $27,500.
And that's the national. You do get local ones as well. You should check your local listings and local area for that as well. All right, Brad, what have you been driving this week?
So I needed to haul a bunch of boxes around and a few other things, of course, helping somebody move. So I checked out the 2015 ProMaster City, which is kind of the baby brother to the big ProMaster we've talked about before.
This is from Ram, right?
This is from Ram, yes. And Ram via Fiat. So it's Italian bred. And this is a small cargo vehicle, but there are 2 trim levels for that. And then there's also a couple of wagon options, which are 5-passenger wagons. What I had was the SLT version of it. And it's really an urban hauling vehicle. Chrysler likes to describe it as an urban nimble vehicle, which it really was. So it's got the 60-40 split back door plus the 2 side doors, which makes it really easy. I did show it to a detailer, and he thought it would be a perfect vehicle for a mobile detailing unit and just hauling things around. But it was great to drive.
Did it have a weird smell in the back?
No. Were you hauling your dogs or something?
No. I just spilled a can of Coke in the back. Like,
no, you know what's great is we give these cars back and people actually clean them out and give it back to the next person. So it's great.
Good.
This is the 3rd generation of this particular vehicle, and it's powered by a 2.4-liter 9-speed automatic transmission. So it really was smooth. I was shocked how comfortable it was in that driving area because I've driven some of these U-Haul type vehicles that are really ponderous to drive, but it's the best in class in payload, cargo volume, standard horsepower at 178 horsepower, and the widest floor. So it competes with the Ford Transit, the Nissan NV200, the Chevy City Express. And it's a touch more than most of the other ones at $24,125 starting price. You can get up to $26,650 for the SLT wagon. It does have an independent rear suspension, which makes it much more comfortable to drive, gives a little bit better stability. For what it does, perfect vehicle. Loved it.
Well, I think you're right too, and I think Sean's right as well. That Soul EV is my favorite EV, probably right neck and neck with the 500 EV, and that definitely the ProMaster City is my favorite small vehicle as far as hauling is concerned. Oh well, and so what was the price? 26?
Yeah, it starts at $24,125 and goes up to $26,600.
All right. And then it does come in a 4-seater version, doesn't it?
It's actually technically a 5-seater, so it can seat 5 people.
Excellent. So you can use it as a family vehicle.
If you don't want to get that beautiful Sedona you were talking about that I'm longing for.
That's an amazing vehicle. All right, let's go quickly. Jenny, what have you been driving this week?
Okay, back in December, I reviewed the McLaren 12C, and I didn't really give a distinctive review of it. So I got back in it and took it around Colorado for a while and spent the week in it, and I absolutely adore it.
You do have to say this is the video game.
Yes.
Yeah. We're
Forza
not driving
Horizon.
minivans and cargo vans, and he's not getting the McLaren.
Anyone listening, our intern Jenny is 14, and he reviews cars via video games, just in case. Right, carry on, Jenny.
It has great handling. I think the styling of the 12C should have been more dramatic, but now that they've got the 650S, it makes it more dramatic, and I really like that. The handling is absolutely brilliant. You can just slam that thing around a corner about 80 miles an hour. It just sticks to the road. It's so scientific. I love the interior with all the carbon fiber and everything being so simple, and it's a great car. I really did enjoy it.
And it's $49.99 at GameStop, right?
What, Forza?
Yeah.
Well, you can get a used one for about $20.
All right. $20 for a used Forza means you can go and drive the McLaren too. Ollie,
I will take it over that Kia Soul EV. And I haven't even driven it. Either one.
have you tried did they do electric cars in Forza?
Actually, they do. Forza 4 has a Nissan Leaf, and they have a Prius and a Volt.
Oh, no Tesla?
Actually, they do.
Right.
Forza Horizon 2 has a Tesla Model S, and Forza 4 has a Tesla Roadster.
All that for $20. I love it. Are we going to do deal of the week, or we'll say that till later?
We can do deal of the week. I have a 2015 V60 all-wheel drive, 4,000 miles, for $35,500.
And we go to
DLRnordic.com.
DLRnordic.com if you're interested in that. All right, you're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. When we come back, we'll talk to the new automotive guy from Fox and Friends who's going to talk to us about the Chicago Auto Show. Sean and I were there, and Mike Cotell will be here telling us about what he saw on the floor of that show. It's coming up. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
How, America. Welcome back to Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL, Portland's automotive radio show, live from our studios in downtown Portland. For all the latest automotive news, follow us on Twitter at TestMiles.com. Here's a fun fact to impress your friends with: 8 vehicles manufactured by Toyota won the 2012 J.D. Power and Associates Vehicle Dependability Study. 8 of them. Right, well, you'll be hard-pressed to find another person that is more passionate about the auto industry than Mike Cotell. As an automotive expert, Mike is well-informed and always trusted source for many of America's TV news stations. Mike has provided expert commentary on a national level on an array of issues, from General Motors bailout to Toyota recall to new product reviews, auto show coverage, modern technology, safety standards, motorsports, and alternative fuels. Now, yesterday, the Chicago Auto Show opened to the public. Mike covered the new cars for Fox and Friends. And welcome to Test Miles, Mike. Let's talk about the Chicago show. What are some of the things that you saw on the floor of the show that impressed you?
Hey, Nick. Well, good morning, and good morning to all your listeners out there. Appreciate you having me on today. I think it's the first time I've been on with your show. And, the Chicago Auto Shows, I think there's awesome history to kind of throw out to the listeners out there. There's 4 big auto shows in the U.S. You've got Detroit, L.A., Chicago, and you've got New York. And Chicago is one of the bigger shows out there from a consumer standpoint. And what's great is it just gives consumers a chance to not only look at cars they can drive today, but it also gives them a glimpse at the future. And, being there on site at Chicago Auto Show, there were a handful of concepts. There's these great vehicles. We were spending a lot of time with this all-new Kia Trailster and the Mitsubishi GC concept, plug-in electric vehicle. So there's a lot of diversity on this show floor. And you noted a minute ago what were some of the things that I'd seen out there, and topping it right off there at the top is the Trailster. It's a hybrid vehicle, and for those out there that know what hybrids are, it's got a gas motor and it's got an electric powertrain on the rear, and it helps power this vehicle in an all-wheel drive capacity. Makes it incredibly cool.
Now, the GC PHEV from Mitsubishi, we looked at this vehicle. It's kind of very high-tech, very boxy. I haven't really seen a design like that before.
Well, what's unique is it's really a glimpse into what the future of Mitsubishi's larger SUVs will look like. And my gut tells me you'll see this vehicle in some capacity like the shape you saw in Chicago on the road here shortly. But let me give you a couple fun facts about that vehicle, particularly the GC. One of the really interesting facts about the midsize to large SUV, and it happens to be a plug-in electric vehicle. And why is that important? It means you can actually hit a button inside that vehicle and run that vehicle for 25 miles on pure electricity. And that's hard to do with a large SUV, and Mitsubishi's been able to obtain that with this. And kind of a fun fact, as a segue, on one tank of gas, you'll be able to utilize that vehicle as a generator to power your house up to 10 to 13 days. So kind of something new in the marketplace, makes it different.
I think one of the things I liked about that vehicle most was the tactical table on the inside.
Tactical table is a really new piece of technology, and it's integrated in with the telematics of that vehicle. So the ability to connect your phone to the vehicle. It's called M2M technology, or mobile to machine technology. It takes your smartphone, you drop it on top of the tactical table inside of that vehicle, and you become interconnected with all of the other folks inside the vehicle. You want to share a photo, put it on the tactical table, and everybody inside the vehicle will then become connected.
Tell me about trucks at Chicago.
You're in Chicago. You're in the middle of America. It was cold in Chicago. Trucks are a mainstay, not only on the East and West Coast, but definitely in the middle of America. So we took a close look at the Ram Laramie Limited Edition. What a beautiful vehicle. The exterior, it looks like a truck. It's got incredible side compartments on the exterior. Inside the vehicle, this interesting stow and go for your mobile phone. But one of the unique features is the ability to take a truck and integrate luxury into it. And that's what Ram was able to do. They have Berber carpets. I heard a good friend of mine there at the show made a reference to, I don't think the Queen of England has Berber carpets inside of her livery vehicles, over the pond. But a couple interesting facts as well. Best payload, best towing capacity, best fuel economy. I mean, you really get to combine the best of both worlds. So for a family of four that wants to hit the baseball game on Saturday, instead of taking a sedan, you can take the truck, have the utility, but also have the creature comforts and luxury amenities that people expect.
And before we run out of time, let's talk about those emergency vehicles from Ford.
Incredible. Every automaker comes to an auto show with some form of news that they want to get out there. So some come with performance, some would come with green technology. And Ford came with two different emergency response vehicles that I thought were pretty important to the end user. And that being the Ford Police Interceptor. It's built off the highly popular Ford Explorer. One of the really unique features that they were showcasing, with a new front fascia and rear exterior to the vehicle, is this 4-inch camera in the rear. Basically what happens, somebody's coming up behind a police officer. This sensor will immediately deduct that someone's coming up behind the vehicle and lock the doors and protect that officer from anyone that, could be potentially coming up behind them to force some kind of harm. But the showstopper for me was this Ford E350 Super Duty partnership between Ford and a company called MedX, the ability to take Google Glasses. The ambulance is a mobile hotspot, and a doctor could literally be sitting from their desk in a hospital and render some form of health care that is necessary to somebody inside the ambulance. Basically use the Google Glasses on a paramedic to be able to see what is happening inside that ambulance.
I mean, that was probably one of the most exciting things of the show. If you want more information, you can go to Ford.com for that. Mike Cadell, the new Fox and Friends auto guy, thank you so much, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
Thank you.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.
Live from our studios in downtown Portland on a Sunday morning, this is America's Car Radio Show. We'd like to thank you for being part of the Car Nation. For more fun facts about cars, visit our Facebook page and like us. It's Test Miles. Here is a fun fact you can impress your friends with. Ford tried to build a Ferrari for around $18 million in 1963, but the deal collapsed. And when Ford refused, they refused to work with Enzo's total control over the racing program, Ford responded by producing the GT40. So that's almost how Lamborghini got started too. Ferrari refused to work with them, and look what happened. Lamborghini was born. All right, a couple of interesting things. Just wanted to recap Project Discovery. We had that at the Portland International Auto Show. That is KXL's and TestMiles Land Rover that we made into luxury dog transportation. If you missed it being at the show, you can see pictures all over Facebook. We did get in a lot of trouble for letting the cannon off inside in the convention center. We were told one more time we would have to go home. But we're thinking about doing a new project car for next year's auto show. And we had a couple of ideas that were born. One of the ideas that was born was we got some information from the guys at Grimm that they were interested in talking about a car, some very relaxed conversations. But maybe we should do a Project Grimm car. We thought that would be kind of a fun idea. Maybe a character car for the story. We'd still have to do lots of negotiations.
For as many people as they kill, maybe we should do a hearse-type vehicle.
I just thought it would be kind of fun to do.
Maybe we can use that ProMaster and convert it into something where they haul away the bodies.
One of the ideas was to do something from maybe Fiat Chrysler and do something with red snakeskin interior with Mobile West and do some other cool stuff. Zhenya's been bubbling all day. God, he can't control himself. He has an idea for a project car.
Okay. 1996 Astra Luxury Touring, make it into the ultimate luxury chauffeur car.
I don't know if we could do that. Brad, could we do that?
No, if our clients aren't going to ride in a Hyundai Aquis or a K900, they're not going to be riding in an Astro van.
Yeah, because it's all about the name brand, right?
And that's why we're turning his mic off now.
So if you have ideas for a project car that we could do for next year's Portland International Auto Show, drop us a line and let us know what you were thinking. I was talking to our business development manager the other day here at TestMiles, and she was telling me that she used to be at a Shucks Auto Supply. She used to be the manager there. She ran it for 3 years. And she said a lot of times guys will come into Shucks and they will refuse to deal with her because they feel uncomfortable dealing with a lady behind the counter, which brings up an interesting fact. We have these pre-recognized preconditions about people behind counters that they're all knowledgeable. And it's interesting to me that some people would not be able to get past that. I don't know if you guys had any experience of people who couldn't really get past the fact that they had a woman behind the counter of a parts store, which seems really strange to me. But we sort of came up with this idea of things that maybe make you uncomfortable if they were said by someone behind the counter of a parts store. So we're going to enlist the help of our news lady Anna to say a few words, and you guys have to tell me if you think it doesn't sound right coming from our newsreader Anna, because she has a very sultry, sexy voice. So Anna, why don't you say number 1 on the list?
Wankel rotary engine.
How do you guys feel about that? Would you trust somebody that said that at a parts counter?
I don't trust anybody who deals in rotary engines.
It's the part itself, right? No? Sean, do you trust it?
No.
All right, Anna, do number 2.
Crankshaft.
I feel like I should be putting out my credit card right now.
Yeah.
Really? All right, number 3.
Master-slave cylinder.
So I don't even know what that is, by the way. What's a master-slave cylinder?
Well, you use them for many things, for hydraulic clutches, for brakes,
Really?
different things. Yeah.
All right. Let's try number 4, Anna.
Dipstick.
Can I get that for my ringtone?
Anna saying dipstick.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting, though? Doesn't it change your perception of cars? Like, some of the best mechanics I've met are women. And it doesn't change your perception when they say things. They don't sound quite the same as if a guy says it. You guys have that same
I guess it just
experience?
depends on how it's said.
Do you guys tell me, have you come across any female mechanics in the industry? It seems to be there's a lack of those.
Not so much mechanics, but one of the best car racers and / mechanic is Cindy Lux.
All right.
I mean, amazing driver. So if you want
I've
to have a
worked with
discussion
Cindy.
about prejudice, she's got all kinds of stories.
Yeah, but she, you know what? You get out on the track and she'll kick some backside. I'd love to put her against a lot of these mouthy teenage guys, because she can sit on that track. And I don't know how old Cindy is. She's probably, close to 40, and she can kick the backside of most teenage boys on that track. She's pretty much 99% of teenage boys. Let's try number 5, Anna.
Chrome tip.
No, doesn't make you feel uncomfortable.
No, it's not. Let's just move to that. Let's keep doing it.
All right, Anna, next one, number 6.
Blowing a seal.
See,
That's
to me, it
uncomfortable.
doesn't make it. It's like
That one does, yeah.
it's funny for me because I think if I went into a parts store and I had somebody behind the counter who was doing this, was talking to me about things, I don't care who they are. I know so little about the mechanics of cars. I'm all about technology, and I'm all about the latest in design and the latest in models and those sort of things, that I have to trust anybody behind the counter of a parts store. I just think that's a highly interesting thing for me.
Well, if you're asking and you're like, oh, I need that thingamajigger deal that does the, I need that part. If you're trying to explain parts ordering like that, then maybe it's uncomfortable for everybody.
I bet I can make you all laugh, though. Anna, say number 12.
Tranny flush.
See, everyone's like putting their hand over their mouth now. That to me, that would be inappropriate. And then it would probably be even more uncomfortable if a guy said it behind the camera.
I think it's perfectly fine in Portland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course it is. All right, when we come back on Test Miles, we're going to have our quiz of the week. We're going to talk about what some of the biggest news stories are in the automotive world. We're also going to review what's coming up on the show. And please do let us know if you have some ideas for what our next project car should be. We're all ready to hear them at Test Miles. Listening to FM News 101 KXL, I'm Nick Miles.
Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com. It's Test Miles on FM News 101.
We'd like to keep you informed all week long. Just follow us at testmiles.com. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. Bentley's famous winged bee hood ornament was designed with forgers in mind. As a counter to the red hot faux hood ornament market, there is actually a different number of feathers on each side in the hopes that forgers would not be able to forge that. So that's kind of interesting.
Locally, the Bentley GTC back in the day, the Jordan brand designed a car around the Bentley.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. If I was going to forge something like a Bentley hood ornament, I would actually make a mold of it. So I'm not sure how the different feathers on each side would help. But if someone took a photograph and then of one side and didn't do it on the other, that's probably how they would catch them out.
With the 3D printing and everything else, I think you can forge pretty much anything.
Right. And the prices come down. Those things used to be highly expensive, and now they're not as expensive as they used to be, unless it's one made of crystal or gold or something like that. All right, this is the part of the show when we like to see how much knowledge our studio team has of the week's car industry news, which means it's time to play our weekly news quiz. So who is coming out with what they say is the next... Did I read that right?
Wait.
The next Tesla killer. I am on 2 pages. Brad.
I think this is probably the worst kept secret from Detroit. But so at the Chicago Auto Show, GM announced that they are in fact building the Bolt, not to be confused with the Volt.
Right.
So this is the electric car that's going to get about a 200-mile range. Will sell for about $30,000. Comes out in 2017. It's more of almost a crossover vehicle.
Chevy, I love you, but this is not going to kill the Tesla. Just letting you know that it's going to be nowhere close
I'm pretty
to
sure
a Tesla
gold-winged Teslas will not be in the same market as this.
It will do nothing to kill the Tesla at all. Which American supercar will be built in Canada instead of the U.S.? Sean.
That would be the Ford GT that we're all talking about.
Surprised at that, I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be an American supercar, but it's going to be built up north.
Well, the last one was, the GT40 was designed by Britain, and pretty much the same thing for the GT, so...
It doesn't. Well, Ford has global design studios, so they design them. They design them hand in hand with Frankfurt, London, Michigan, Shanghai. But the fact is, being built in Canada is kind of an interesting.
Yeah, but the old GT had a bunch of parts from like Lotus and brakes from like Ferrari, Lamborghini, stuff like that.
But built.
Yeah,
I mean, built in Canada. I don't know if it's a bad thing. It just sounds wrong to me.
Well, it's still North America.
Who's escaping the streets with a hybrid off-road convertible? Virginia.
Kia, if you were paying attention to the Chicago Auto Show, they launched a Trailster concept, which is basically a concept showing electric all-wheel drive for the Kia Soul. It has a convertible roof, and it's a sort of luxury off-roading Kia Soul, and it's got a 1.6-liter turbocharged engine, which is mated to a hybrid motor to power all four wheels.
Right, so the hybrid's actually, the electric motor's behind the rear wheels.
Yeah,
it's actually in the axle, so it powers the back two wheels, and
so
the turbo powers the front.
Yeah.
Now, who thinks anybody is going to build a car with a canvas roof? No, they're not. It's kind of an interesting... Hyundai had a canvas roof.
Renault and Vauxhall.
Right. But we're talking about a canvas roof in the United States where it gets very cold above the Mason-Dixon line, and anybody on the East Coast will be telling you a canvas roof is not going to fly. It's interesting, though. Who is working together on a hydrogen filling station? Is that Oli? Oli.
Yes, it is. Toyota, Nissan, and Honda are working on creating more fueling stations in Japan, kind of like the news that kind of came out in California, where everyone's going to kind of try to make, more filling stations so we can transition easier into doing hydrogen and electric and things like that. So they're going to work on like a strategic roadmap for hydrogen and electric cars.
Cool. Truck companies are spending billions on what technology? Anyone? Bradley.
So they're getting on board with the driverless vehicle. And
nice. Are you quacking now too?
Yeah, I think
you have a duck in your jacket.
I think the Port of Portland is on board with this big time, and they're going to go driverless longshoremen, driverless trucks, and everything else. But about half of America is on board with the driverless vehicles. 59% are college grads.
I think that one of the interesting things would be to have a driverless truck that has its own lane, because that way these trucks could actually just ship stuff.
I think it'd be scary to be on the road and have a semi have no pilot there or anything, just it cruising down the road. And
that was the whole idea.
Well, would you drive on a highway with semi trucks with no driver?
Yeah, because they're probably safer than 90% of the trucks out.
Wasn't that Maximum Overdrive with Charlie Sheen? Wasn't that movie where the truck had its own?
Film from the 30s.
That's with Emilio.
Oh, Emilio,
not Charlie.
All right, next question. Who is working on a top secret electric car project? Sean.
Surprisingly, this would be Apple. They're trying to come out with their own electric version of a car and to compete with Google's car now, too.
Here's the deal. These guys swap staff so much that basically they just buy the staff that designed the one at the last company, and then they design one for themselves. So that's what ends up happening.
I wonder how long the line of hipsters would be waiting for an Apple car.
Really? That's interesting. It'll cost 3 times as much as any regular car.
But people camp out weeks for a phone. Right. And, they love their little Apple. So, if Apple came out with a car, they're going to be out there a month ahead. Like, I need my Apple car.
Right. The line.
Someone's going to need $300,000.
Oh, wait, I can see the Apple store. They're already lining up for that car from. I can see them from here outside the App Store. All right. Final question. Who will be debuting an all-new hypercar at the 2015 Geneva Motor Show? No? Oh. Is that Oli?
Yes, it is.
Oli.
Austin Martin's going to be debuting a what they're calling the Vulcan hypercar, and there's not a whole lot of information about it yet. It's rumored to have even more power than the 177, which was, I believe, 750 horsepower out of a very large V12, over 200 miles per hour. But I think everything's pointing to where this won't be a street legal car. It'll be like a track only car.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well,
they'll probably build
kind of like the FXX. Kind of along that idea. I don't know any of the details. Obviously, there's nothing out there yet. But whether they meet you, they bring the car, and you get a massage, you drive the racetrack. I don't know how it works.
You'll sell all of them.
Yeah.
I think anyway, at least.
I don't think it's going to cost less than the 177, because that was like, what, 1.8 million?
Right. Although I did find out that car that was at the Portland Auto Show, the Bugatti, they were actually offering it for sale for considerably less than it cost new. I think just over $1 million. Whereas I think that to buy a new Grand Sport version of that Veyron is about 2.4.
Well, when they originally started the Veyron, it took VW $5 million to build the car.
Let me tell you, the new Buick Avenir, which was at the auto show, the concept car, $40 million just to build the concept. Because when I went to slam the door on it, some guy threw himself in the way and said, "You can't slam the door on that on a $40 million car." I'm sorry, I won't do that again.
There was a famous story down in L.A. where a photographer did some really, really bad things with one of the Lexus prototype cars that was millions of dollars, and then it got stuck into impound for about a year. And so Lexus couldn't use the vehicle. And then they destroyed it.
That's very sad. All right, so don't forget, if you're interested in helping us with our next project vehicle, you can find us on Facebook at TestMiles, or you can find us on Twitter at the same thing, or go to testmiles.com and send us a note. I know the guys in the studio now are very excited about it. Grim Car seems to be really exciting people, right?
Yeah, wheels are turning and the brainstorming has commenced, and hopefully that's the way it goes. I think you could go a lot of directions.
I don't think we could power a Vespa with the brain power that's going on right now.
Oh, come on now.
As for us, I mean, you have to use it in context. There's a lot of brainstorming for what we have.
That's right.
We are America's crack radio team. You're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101. Follow us in all the places that you know and listen to previous shows. We'll be back next week with some more very, very high-powered octane entertainment. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.